Sounds good. Right. So now it's supposed to be streaming. Oh, now it is actually streaming. So now we're live, I think. Yeah, we're live. Okay. Woohoo!
We're live.
Da 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 da. Theme song.
Hello,
Okay.
Hello,
So,
Mr. Prefect.
Hi, Mr. Uh, Pope Richard. Is that how it works? I keep forgetting. It's like now we have a black screen up because I'm so far. It has been one of those days today. It was one of those days today. And so, what are we doing? What are we doing here again? Why don't you give a rundown while I try to get my act together here, so to speak?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Richard the 50th. My official full title is Regional Step Pope of Northeastern Wyoming, um, but Pope Richard is fine. If you want to be just a little bit more formal, I could be Pope Richard the 50th. And we are here with the prefect of the. Shoot, I don't remember your title. Michael Henderson.
It's the acceptance of an overwhelming sense of
Verisimilitude.
verisimilitude. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
And
And with the Cult of Brighter Days, we are here to talk about the good news.
yeah, I'm turning on my camera just to have something on. There we go. Now somebody can see somebody. A little bit of action on the screen. And what is the good news for today? Because today you were the one that picked out the good news.
Yes. So the headline, pulled this from CNN.com today, the 7th of March, 2023. The headline says Norfolk Southern conductor killed in an accident involving a dump truck at Ohio Steel facility. Now,
Okay.
you know what you're going to say. This is good news. And no, the headline isn't. But the story, the lead paragraph, lead sentence is a Norfolk Southern conductor was killed Tuesday after being struck by a dump truck at a facility in Ohio, prompting the National Transportation Safety Board to investigate the railway's safety culture due to the number and significance of recent accidents.
Okay.
And therein is where we see the good news of this story is that Norfolk Southern has been maybe negligent is not the right word, but insufficiently successful.
Really crappy at taking care of their people.
We've had 3 deaths and a number of other incidents
And another
in the last
incidents.
few months. Yeah, so among those other incidents, you probably heard of the derailment in New Palestine, Ohio, as dump truck accidents also in Ohio, in Cleveland Cliffs, Cleveland Cliffs, Ohio. And they've gotten the attention of the National Transportation Safety Board. They're also working with the office of Governor Mike DeWine, the Cleveland Police Department, and some Cleveland Cliffs representatives. I'm not sure if Cleveland Cliff is a facility or a town or a suburb of Cleveland, but there are several different agencies that are involved now that they've had this latest incident. And hopefully what that means is that there'll be some improvement.
Well, it looks here there's also a related article that says officials find no sign of a spill after Norfolk Southern freight train derails in west central Ohio. So I guess that's good news as well, right?
Yeah. Um, Now, I've been watching Twitter a long time, and the knee-jerk reaction that happens is, well, they say there's no
Chemical
spill,
spills.
but I don't see any particular reason to think that people would lie about that. Lots of people are understandably cynical, but I
Yeah.
think it's harder to make those things than people make it out to be.
Okay, well, I mean, that's true. And I'm looking here. It says Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw said in a separate statement the railroad will hold safety briefings with employees on Wednesday in an effort to rebuild our safety culture from the ground up. So it makes you wonder why why it takes something like this for them to decide to rebuild from the ground up. Because if they're rebuilding from the ground up, it means that something was lacking in the first place.
Yeah, that's an admission that there wasn't anything worth saving, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
mean,
starting from scratch, starting over is, maybe the right way to go if that's the case.
well, right way to go or wrong way to go. I mean, it does lead to the bigger question that we always see of um, why wasn't stuff done sooner? And again, I think this goes back to a lot of the time, especially when money's involved, nothing's taken into account like this until somebody gets hurt, which is an unfortunate case nowadays. I mean, like, we're looking at the good
Hmm.
news here, and there is good news, but it does draw attention to the fact that there is so much more that we should be and could be doing out there in the real world along these lines. Um, making sure everybody's safe in positions like jobs like this that are dangerous in the first place.
Right.
We are going to invest more in safety. This is not who we are. It's not acceptable, and it will not continue. But if this requires this, is it only because this one person? And you spin it positively. I'm having one of those days. But is it only because of this death that they care about it, even though the situation that led to this death was obviously there in the first place? How come people don't think that way? Maybe you can explain that to me, Richard.
Well, I'm not maybe the best person to explain why there's evil,
it's, it's there's an echo. You just
considering that people have been about that question for millennia, and I'm not going to presume to know better than some of the
well,
greatest minds of the human world. But here's what I can say
okay.
is that from the company's standpoint, there has been a push for probably about as long as I've been alive, which is a little over 50 years, uh, away from the reforms of the progressive era in the early 20th century to increase safety, and the pendulum swung back towards increasing profits.
Okay.
And it's frustrating as a historian to look back and watch that pendulum swing. Seems like it ought to be obvious enough once you get it swung towards safety that you should keep it from swinging back again. But every time it does swing towards safety,
Swifty.
swings toward
Patrick
safety
towards
is a good
Patrick
thing.
Swifty.
It's not a
Okay.
roadhouse.
Uh,
Um, it's
Roadhouse.
important that if we can get to a point where humanity isn't so much focused on what's in it for me and how can I gain, and more how can we make this a better place for everybody, then we'll see less and less of this kind of thing. Um,
So never gonna happen.
I try not to say never.
Sorry. Sorry. We're supposed to be like being positive and upbeat about this. And I mean,
It's
it's
a real
really
challenge.
well, and it's absurd. I mean, eh, okay, so let's just go over it again. Now, this conductor is killed Tuesday after being struck by a dump truck at a facility. And you never know the actual situation. That's part of the problem with things like this. And it's part of the problem with the sensationalism of news is that it's like Um, yeah, it's news, but they didn't have to phrase it the way they did in the headline, you know. But we don't know. He was struck when a dump truck carrying a limestone collided with the front left side of the first car of a train. He was outside the car when he struck. A policeman spoke.
Yeah.
The governor got involved. That's a good thing. But see, if you're at the level where the governor's actually involved, I mean,
Republican governor even.
yeah, it's either like a super bad optic, and it might only be a super bad optic because of the recent Palestine derailment and everything. So now trains are under more scrutiny. It's like a lot of people were saying, well, you know how many times trains derail in this country and everything like that on a day? And it's quite a few times per day a train derailment happens. So it's not like it's new. It's not very often that a train derails that's carrying chemicals that are flammable, but they're not listed as flammable on the, whatever they're shipping listing. So that sort of stood out like a sore thumb, but it did draw all the attention to all these other things. So you have people on one side saying, well, trails derail all the time in the country, so it doesn't really matter, which seems like, you don't have to make it safer because, it happens all the time when we know it doesn't happen like that all the time. And then you have the other side going, oh my gosh, this is so horrible because it derailed like this and we need to fix it all. And it's like, well, we haven't fixed it all yet, and it's been derailing for years, Why haven't we started talking about it before now? Maybe I'm just rambling today, though, because it's one of those days.
So these are valid questions. It's valid to ask, why did it take so long to get this investigation running? Why is this the straw?
Yeah.
These are all valid questions, and I don't know that I have the answers to them, but we do want to live in a world where accidents like this are fewer and farther between. We probably can't eliminate them altogether, but we can try to reduce the number of them. And the way to do that is to learn what happened in the first place and try to figure out how to work it to protect against that. And that's what investigations lead to. So it is good that we have an investigation going. Should it have been sooner? Yeah. But it is here now, which is better than not until later.
Wow, that was a convoluted way around that comment. Not now, then okay. Maybe I'm just having a head time wrapping my head around it.
Better now than never.
That makes more. Well, I thought the other probably made more sense. I just didn't get it. So, like I said,
it was kind of a wordy way to say it. I'll grant you that.
That's okay. We can sound pretentious. There's nobody here watching us. I mean, we can be as pretentious as we want to. Next thing, we'll start doing funny voices and everything.
Literature hour.
The what?
The snooty literature hour.
Yeah, that's what we could do. Could read some posh. Could read some posh books or something like that. Let's find some posh books to read.
Get a monocle and a meerschaum pipe.
We should need to come up with some posh news articles. posh good news. None of this lower class dribble good news. We want posh good news.
Posh good news. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind tomorrow when we try to do this. Well, we're hitting the top of our 15-minute mark that we're trying to hit on a daily basis. At least 2 times, 15 minutes a day, we bring you the good news. Unfortunately, we only did it once today. And we didn't do it at all yesterday, but that's perfectly fine because we're Discordian sect, so whatever. It was a holy day yesterday of I needed to get work done or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the holy day of my boss is getting on my butt. every join us every Tuesday on the holy day of my boss is getting on my butt because I'm slacking off or something. And we don't believe in slack here at the Cult of the Better Day.
Yeah, that's
Don't think
somebody
that we're
else.
slacking. That's a different group of people entirely that we're diametrically opposed to. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
The Cult of the Subgenius?
Yes, we are actually diametrically opposed to them.
Oh,
There's a long,
I didn't realize.
Yeah, yeah. There's a long stand. Oh, I don't know what's diametrically mean. It sounded right.
It's based off of the word diameter, so it's the other end of the circle.
Yeah. See, I was because they're all about slack, and we're all about chaotic action. So,
There you go.
I don't know if you know anything of Slack. Maybe we'll try to find somebody to come on and talk about from the Cult of the Subgenius. That would be pretty good. So
That'd be interesting.
that would be interesting to have. We could peg it as a opposing viewpoint. Get them involved in the article, in the conversation. I'm not sure if this article would have really been like one that drove interest and everything, but Anyways, on that note, we will be back tomorrow. We really should set some sort of time area that we should be at.
Yeah.
So, since we're live, if anybody ever wants to actually show up and interact with us live, we probably should be here at the same time they are. I mean, we could
interact.
Well, I mean, they could come and interact all they want to. They could just keep the live stream going. They could pop in and say whatever they want to. But I mean, if we're not here, it sort of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Right. Does make it more difficult. Yes.
Well, do you have anything weird or absurd today to end the show on? Like a weird something that drives this, that would make us feel a little bit better going to sleep tonight? Especially related to this article. Yeah, you didn't think this through on this article, did you?
I didn't think all the way to closing.
Yeah, I thought so. That's okay.
The conductor and I were both.
The what?
Conductor and I were both Army veterans.
How is that absurd? That is relatable. That makes us relatable.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, point taken.
And how old was he? You might have served together. Oh, he was younger than you. So he was in the service after you left, probably. So there's something to take away with this.
He's not that much younger. It's only 10 years.
10 years is 10 years, man. 10 years. Well, we're going to call it a day.
Well, I was...
You were what?
Yeah, he probably left. I was only in for 7.
Yeah. So, well, that we're going to wrap up for the day. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. If they listen to this after the fact, that's perfectly fine. If they're not listening to it after the fact, then I don't need to thank you guys because you're not there. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
And Hail Eris.